Hey, so today I'd like to talk about the relationship between intelligence and belief in God. Now, a lot of people might think that Christians are strongly against actual thinking, or maybe that they left their brains behind, but I would actually say the opposite is true. Psalm 19, 1 through 2 says, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the sky above proclaims his handiwork. Day to day pours out speech, and night to night reveals knowledge." So, while a lot of people might think that the evidence of the Bible evidence has made the Bible outdated, but first of all, there has been other evidence to show that that's just not true. And it also tells us that when one day we see something that looks like it overturns the validity of the Bible, we'll see something another day to make things more clear. Now, I'm definitely all for freedom of thought, because if it weren't for that, I wouldn't have known Christ. I came from a Jewish family that didn't have him. But because I had the freedom to think, to use the brain that God gave me, it led me to that faith in Christ that I'm so firmly entrenched in now. And now that I have come to faith, I think it's definitely important to continue to search for knowledge, just to know more about the nature of God. Like, I already believe what I need to, and that is that the New Testament is history. That Christ really is risen from the dead, and that he's the Son of God, and that he alone can save us. Now, I know a lot of people say to be open-minded, and on some level that's true, and in some ways not really, because the way a lot of people talk about open-mindedness really shows a closed-mindedness to absolute truth, like a closed-mindedness to closed-mindedness. That they're only open to searching, but never actually open for getting at absolute truth. It's like the only thing they're open to is having their heads just float around in space with no direction. And I mean, in science we can just see that that's absolutely ridiculous, because it's based on trying to get at inarguable conclusions, something that can't be refuted. Now, a lot of people might think that's true about evolution, but that's definitely not the case. Even secular scientists are starting to move back towards the idea of a creator. Now, let's think about what Socrates said for a second. He said, "The unexamined life is not worth living at all." And that's definitely true. I mean, God has given all of us general revelation, and we clearly see that in people like Socrates. And people might think that there's just no evidence to support the Bible, but many of the people who have found evidence are former atheists. Like Josh McDowell said, "I set out to make a joke of the Bible, but turned out the joke was on me." Because he found that once he actually did his homework, then he could see that it was true. And in Lee Strobel's Case for Christ, he was another former atheist, and I really like how he kind of takes us along in his search with him, like his 2-year journey to find the evidence for Christ. And when we get through this, we see that the faith is not only valid, but inarguable, just as science always searches to do. So, I hope you come away from this video knowing that intelligence is not only good for faith, but actually kind of necessary. We need to make believers out of thinkers and thinkers out of believers. You really can't have one without the other. And Jesus says to love God with all of your mind.